Endgame Terraria is an interesting one, suddenly introducing a massive selection of extremely powerful weaponry that unfortunately were all made completely obsolete thanks to the best weapon in the game, the Zenith, being introduced. Now, although this has plainly always been the best, what if I told you that weirdly, despite being added as the weapon to end all weapons, is not statistically the most powerful in the game? Today, we're going to be looking at a previously famed Moonlord weapon drop that still holds the spot as having the highest base damage of any non-consumable weapon in the game. Of course, I'm talking about the Meowmere. Obviously, while this does have the numbers to back it up, it operates in an entirely different way to the Zenith, and so let's take a look at how it holds up today. Before we jump into it, however, if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Right, let's take a look. Now, I think it's pretty self-explanatory how you obtain this thing. You simply just need to farm the Moonlord. And while how you go about this is up to you, there are a bunch of setups I'd recommend for taking him down. For instance, using the Daybreak Wall on a Fishrun mount gives you great mobility and extreme DPS, and is what I found to be the best way to take him down, assuming it's raining. But if this amount of movement isn't for you, you can always over-engineer a box setup and just tank him. This is something I've made a video on recently actually, and is basically just a get out of jail free card. Saying that, another brainless-ish method I've found is running a damage-built mage with the Razorblade Typhoon, and basically just keeping your distance from all the projectiles while letting the Typhoons do all the work. Seriously, considering this is technically a pre-mech weapon, the damage it dishes out is nuts. Anyway, however you defeat him, don't expect this to be your first and last, as with the Meowmere having a drop rate of 22.2%, the fights can quickly rack up. Fingers crossed you'll get it first time though, unlike me which took 12. Okay, let's see what it can do. The Meowmere is a funny one, as despite being the game's previous ultimate endgame melee weapon, it doesn't really do anything special. It's pretty much just a more powerful meme version of the pre-Labour of Love Terrorblade. Saying that, with its record-breaking base damage of 200, it does half-pack a punch, dealing well over double the DPS of the Flying Dragon, the best pre-Moonlord sword. However, I found that compared to other melee weapons of its tier, I'm pretty disappointed as it even loses to the Terrarian without a yo-yo setup. And when it comes to the Zenith, well, that was never even going to be close. So I mean, let's just admit that, despite its flashy number, it's not going to be replacing the Zenith anytime soon. So what can it do for you leading up to obtaining the ultimate weapon? Well, to be honest, the Meowmere is still a beast of a sword, which with a crazy damage setup can still deal a mind-boggling base damage of, 666. Expect this to completely erase any regular enemies, which should make navigating your world much easier. I can't fail to mention that the Terrarian still does a better job at close range though. But I mean, there is still plenty of scenarios where the Meowmere's power can help you grind for the Zenith, firing rapid cat projectiles that ricochet and peer up to 4 enemies. Not only is this brilliant at handling a bulk of enemies in events and invasions, but its ridiculously high base damage makes its single target DPS more than capable at dealing with bosses. So let's say this was your first weapon drop from the Moonlord. Well, you've just made your next couple of kills for the additional weapons a lot easier, making the Zenith grind less painful. And yeah, I get that it'll be short-lived, which kinda sucks for such a cool weapon, but at least it's not completely useless, and is still something I use for about half an hour in my playthroughs. So yeah, the Zenith for sure shook up the endgame, and although it may not have the highest base damage, absolutely demolished the previous king. In a way, I think the only thing that would make it more useful at this point is if the Zenith was made harder to craft, but with already 10 ingredients, I can't imagine that happening anytime soon. What do you think of the Meowmere? Do you use it as a novelty, or has it been completely dethroned thanks to the Zenith? This has been sockrteez, and I'll see you in the next one.